Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to X Marks the Box, an Xbox podcast. My name is Potato Chief, and I'm with my good friend Alice. How are you, Alice?
Hi.
That way. That way. I can never get the point in the. I always try and point at you when I say my good friend Alice, and I always point the wrong way every single time. I'm an idiot. It shouldn't be that hard to be able to point, but I struggle with it every week.
I don't blame you because I've got no webcam at the moment, and I think it was a bit of a silly week, really, because I think us are like exhausted and just like.
We're both exhausted, yeah. I had.
I mean,
I had someone messaging me constantly saying, "Why are you not recording videos? Why are you not recording videos?" I'm like, "Because I'm tired and I feel ill. I'm sorry." It's horrible. It's like I've been very I've been very ill the last few weeks, and it's yeah. So I'm hoping that this podcast, if I fall asleep during the podcast, because I'm ill. So hopefully
I will
that
make
won't
a
happen.
YouTube clip of it, mind you.
Put it in the highlights. Searching highlight, just me sleeping for 20 seconds, billion views.
Oh.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. So is Potato sleeping? Excellent. I can talk all day.
Just mention Ruby again, and I'll be like.
I think it will be the same if I mention about Halo again.
Oh no, I love Halo. I can talk about Halo all day. You don't have to set me off when it comes to making a rant about Halo. But yeah, we're both not feeling 100% to this week. But come rain, come shine, I'm doing this podcast. I don't care. It's like my YouTube channel. I do my reactions on a Tuesday, my reactions on a Saturday, and I do my podcast. We do this podcast on a Wednesday, and that's it. Come rain, come shine. I could be like being hit by a bus or something, or like missing limbs or something. I don't know.
I think it would be better if you give Potato some money. Buy some chips. Yes.
Yeah, give me money. No, yeah. So I basically come rain, come shine. It'll take a lot for me not to do this podcast. No matter how ill I am, I will do the podcast. Yeah. I don't want to promise something that I can't really, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So. I've been like really busy on the novel draft for like the National Novel Writing Month, and at the time of this release of a video, which will come out like on the 1st of December, that's where I just already beaten it with with over 50,500 words, and yeah, it's actually like it's more words than any other project because I've been doing this. National Novel Writing Month for like I think it was like 5 years now. NaNoWriMo. Wow. So I just like got some novel drafts, and I did like struggle to like keep up and even lag behind, but I somehow made it up. And I made a huge push towards the end, so it's already done. But I'm already got myself lethargic, struggle to like get myself productive. And now I've finished it. I should be able to treat myself to a ready-made. Well, have you seen the film Misery?
Yes, I've seen Misery. Oh god, that film. The leg bit in Misery. Oh my god. Oh, she hobbles him. That's dumb. Oh, that film. That's horrific.
Before we get into the gory details,
sorry.
That's
film.
all right.
No.
The
author
would be like smoking in this. Whenever he completes his draft for his novel, he would crack open his prosecco or some sort like that, or was it wine or brandy? I don't know. But he also like his cigar just to celebrate the fact he'd done his draft. For me, I think I would treat myself possibly to some cider and a delicious ready meal just to celebrate that.
So
I've done the draft, but then my draft is like halfway there anyway, so it's gonna be like 100,000 words. But then again, I've done multiple drafts of my first book. I've done drafts for different stories, but the one I'm doing at the moment is just like, oh, it's really good.
So what you need to keep writing is you need someone to paralyze you into a wheelchair and make sure that you do your work. it's like you need someone to make sure that you do your writing, or they're gonna like hurt you. lock you up so you do your writing.
Yeah.
Misery is not a. Oh my god! Yeah, if you, Misery is horrible.
I saw the
is
film,
Stephen King, isn't
and
it?
yeah, it is by Stephen King,
Yeah.
but I would rather not be in an environment that, I would like be
No, that's
tired and be
terrifying.
forced to type on a typewriter, but I would rather not have a crazy
Yeah.
fan who even like shouts at you if you do something that
Yeah.
she doesn't agree with, even if it's a nurse that somehow does some shady things in the past. I mean, I would rather just like mope around and just ignore everyone.
I mean, I had someone this week yelling at me saying, "Why aren't I making videos?" So I was like, that's not even someone that's enough for me to be like, "Oh, leave me alone." Not someone like getting a sledgehammer and breaking my legs. Jesus, that film is brutal. Jesus. Oh,
Well,
oh no.
you would have been lucky to be me, because at the moment, I'm getting really close to getting faster internet, and I got some extra bits. I got the Mac Mini coming to me next week, I hope, and
Nice.
I got nobody like harassing me except my mum and dad, which in the moment is just like trying to prepare for this trip next week, and
I'll harass
I've
you if you
been
like.
debating. Yeah, that's right.
I can harass you if you want, Alice. Get on with the work.
No, they don't. They don't really harass me to keep on doing work, and it's just they just like get really excited about Christmas, and they like to do Christmas shopping and get involved with families. It's just like as if they would bring me closer to our
dare
family more, and like trying to get on things which are actually productive, like doing this podcast, for instance.
How dare they make you spend time with family? That's just so horrifically bad. No. Oh yeah. No, I got finally my mum's been away, so she's come back this week. So I've got my family back for Christmas, so I'm happy with that. So yeah,
That's good.
Chill week. This is gonna be a chill holiday this year because I haven't got many kids. We haven't got any like my nephews and stuff are in Australia, so I can't. We haven't really got. We're in Cardiff. There's not many kids around, so it's just gonna be like watch Strictly and whatever's
And
on
Christmas
Die Hard.
specials.
Yeah, watch Die Hard, and I've got to watch the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special that's just gone on Disney. Can't wait to watch that. So yeah, there's a load of Christmas stuff to watch. So just basically watch Christmas telly and chill with the dog and my mum, and just eat. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The plan for Christmas, my plans for Christmas, simple. I like a simple Christmas sometimes, to be honest.
Meanwhile, in Australia, your
Meanwhile, my
other half of the
nephews-
family is enjoying a barbecue.
Yeah, well, actually, they have lobster for some reason. I don't know why. It's like that's their tradition is to have lobster on Christmas Day. It's like okay, sounds like apparently like because my sister was telling me about it last year. Apparently, there's like they have it the lobster in like a box, and apparently she could hear it moving in the night. So that's creepy. I don't like that. I do not like that at all.
Well, it just
no.
reminds me when we went to New York with my family, because my sister's working in New York once. We just went
Yeah.
over to the Chinese restaurant, I believe, and I was like, saw tanks of lobster, the green ones, and I was like, I fancy the lobster thing. And then someone showed me the green lobster, like, oh, that's good. Then someone cooked it and put it into some kind of hot meal over rice. So I literally had some lobster moments. Moments after that lobster got killed for meat.
Oh no, I'm the worst. I am because like I'm I'm not a vegan. I never will be a vegan, and I'm carnivore. I like to eat meat, but I can never kill the animal myself. I would feel too bad. It's like I'm the worst. I'm one of the people who would eat meat, but then I haven't got the courage to actually hurt an animal or anything like that. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Like I seeing an animal in pain just makes me sad, and then like so I'm a hypocrite, obviously. I'm a massive hypocrite.
Well,
I couldn't do it.
well, I think the big hypocrite moment is that in Grounded we had to kill bugs in order to get meat.
Oh yeah, video games I'm good. I can murder for days in video games.
Yeah, so I mean, with Grounded, I think we'd be playing it
Grounded.
less because now your mum's back. So is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, probably. Well, we're playing it less because we're playing Pokemon. That's why we're playing it less. And
Yes.
Vampire Survives. I mean that's so yeah. That's our opening segment of the show. What have we been playing? Pokemon. That's all I've been playing. Vampire Survives a little bit, but not as much as I would like. But yeah, I've beaten Pokemon Violet, and I've got Pokemon Scarlet as well because it was cheap. So I'm about 2-3 gyms into Scarlet, so I'm like barely started Scarlet. But yeah, I've beaten
Well,
Violet, and I'm trying to get the 100% on the Pokedex. I got like 350-ish Pokemon out of 400. So I've been
yeah.
grinding that. Love
Well,
Pokemon.
well, you
It's so
obviously
fun.
like. Well, it's 42 quid cheap, and
Yeah.
as of now, it's just like seems to be written down in price. I think people are like complaining so much about the game's technical problems, and there's
Yeah.
already people who return the game, and yet the Black
I agree.
Friday continues for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet because you can now get it as low like 42 quid, but the digital version it's still going to be like 50 quid. So, but I'm like, I wonder if I get Scarlet, or I wonder if I get Switch OLED because I think the Switch OLED would be nice. But I'm just like, nah. I just focus on what's more important, and that's trying to get myself prepared for Twitch when I get faster internet.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
teaser. But anyway,
Yeah,
I
that's a part
be
of
honest,
the news.
yeah. So yeah, but basically, you were playing like Scarlet, and when we went in there, because I completed Violet about 1 or 2 days ago, and it was like
Yeah.
really good story to boot.
Yeah, love it.
I don't want to discuss too much because I
No,
know
no
people are
spoilers.
like, "What? Why are we talking about Pokemon when there's obviously Fever Pinata out there?"
I mean, we're an Xbox podcast, so really we shouldn't be talking about Pokemon at all. But just to go over
Exactly.
last week we talked about it for 20 minutes. We're not going to talk about it for 20 minutes again this week. Just
Oh,
wanted
no,
to just
no.
briefly touch on it because that is all we've been playing. I mean, I'm speaking for myself here. I've been playing it non-stop. It's the highest, it's the quickest. It made 10 million. It sold 10 million copies within like 3 days. It's the fastest selling game in Switch history. So
Exactly.
it's out. It's quicker than Animal Crossing, quicker than any previous Pokemon. So and it's like it's buggy as hell. Yet it's fantastic. I don't know what it's like. It's one of my favorite Pokemon games I've played in years.
Yes.
It's hard to choose between. When it comes to our Game of the Year discussion, it's going to be hard to choose between Pokemon Scarlet / Violet and Pokemon Arceus. They're both very good games. I can't pick between the two. Obviously, Elden Ring's going to win, but which Pokemon game comes
We
second
do
or
have
third?
the video game rewards coming up.
Yeah,
But anyway, so yeah, well, that's what I've been playing most of the time. But there's pretty much more to do with the Xbox, which I'll get to soon. But I completed Violet and just like got some like bits of extra Pokemon there.
Yeah.
And I've been helping with Lewis to like get through Scarlet because he's doing a Nuzlocke one on it.
doing a Nuzlocke
right?
on Scarlet. Yeah, well, I'm doing like a soft Nuzlocke. So if you don't know what a Nuzlocke is, it's like a challenge, self-imposed challenge on Pokemon, where if your Pokemon faints, they die. You also meant to nickname everything, and you also meant to catch only the first Pokemon in each area. But because it's a new game and I'm trying to 100% the Pokedex, I'm catching every Pokemon I see that's new, but I'm still doing the if a Pokemon dies, they're gone, and you can't use them anymore. So it's kind of like a soft Nuzlocke. It's not like a proper, like full fat Nuzlocke. It's like a semi-skimmed Nuzlocke. It's a diet
Yes.
Nuzlocke. I've lost two
Well, at the
Pokemon
same
already in
time
the Nuzlocke.
at the same time that I went into a union thing because one of the new things in the game is that you can join up with other people's games and it just allows for a few extra opportunities. Except you don't do a lot of things co-op or even like doing co-op on story because that would be really sick.
That would be cool.
It would have helped too. Like
You literally
especially
could just carry
Nuzlocke.
me through the whole game. Literally carries
Yes,
longer.
exactly.
Yeah.
However, so I've been into the game and I've been helping Lewis with going through like trying to level up. Like you had to like beat monsters a lot and gain experience. And there's like auto battle where you can just like instead of doing random battles, you let them like automatically attack Pokemon in order to gain a little bit of experience.
Yeah, yeah. You can also use the auto battle to shiny hunt as well, because if you can't
Yes.
if a Pokemon shiny, the auto battle don't attack them. So that's an interesting way of doing it.
Oh,
I got
cool.
two shinies
Cool.
already. But I'm not. I haven't been trying to get them. I've just seen them in the wild. So.
I only encountered one shiny, and that's one of the Pokemon we were not meant to mention on this podcast yet.
Okay.
But I just like beaten it and like I just fainted and didn't realize it was actually a shiny. I'm like,
Oh, that
great.
sucks. That sucks.
Yeah. This is like the Eradicate moment in Pokemon Silver where I counted a shiny, but I knocked it out.
I hate it. That's the worst feeling ever. Is killing a shiny. I think there's still one in 4,000 something odds of finding a shiny, and then like you kill one, it's like, oh no, what have I done? What have I done? It's much easier
Anyway.
to find shinies in Arceus than it is in the new game because they've removed all the like. They used to have like an effect pop up and like a sound effect go off when you spot a shiny, and now it's like, is this Pokemon slightly bluer than this Pokemon? It's like trying to figure it out, and it's like half the
Yes.
time you can't tell. Yeah, so
Well,
that's enough
any-
of Pokemon, I think.
Well, I would say that I just popped in and we did some raids so we can get some
Nice.
items that gives you like extra experience, like rare candies, except it doesn't give Pokemon extra levels. It just gives experience, and I think it's cool. So we just did that, and we gave Lewis some extra Pokemon to get into his team. Some of them are like over leveled already.
Oh yeah, I thought it was I was just thinking about this earlier. It's funny because like we're like Pokemon fanatics, and then like the PS3 Trust people are like they're like Call of Duty fanatics. It's funny that like everyone finds there's always this one game that everyone will just buy every year without really thinking about it. It's like it's my yearly Pokemon thing. It's like my yearly thing that I do.
Well, the thing is, oh gosh, I think that
some
podcast
people-
over there is going to be interesting. But
Yeah.
but for
Some
me,
people go on. I was
for
going to
me,
say
it's just like
sorry, I keep interrupting you.
I just I just play Pokemon Sword and like not sure it's going to be good, and then there's like Pokemon Arceus is like okay, but then there's like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is like it's just not that interesting anymore. But then when Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out and I got it, I was like totally hooked and restored my faith in Pokemon.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm going to be playing Pokemon Arceus after that. So
Arceus
this
is so
should
good.
be so I'm just looking forward to playing that.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like you're either you're a Call of Duty person, a Pokemon person, or like a FIFA or a Madden person. Like is that one game every year that you'll play. Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl were rubbish. Even though I got them the wrong way around again, I think it's Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Yeah, I got both of them and I've not completed either of them. So
I ordered the SD card for the Switch, which is 256 gigabytes, which is double of what I got back in 2017.
yeah,
I got it from Amazon for the reduced price during the Cyber Monday sales.
yeah.
And I got Pokemon Brilliant Diamond as a wrong item,
Oh,
so I have to
that's enough.
return it.
Yeah, speaking of Black Friday, should we move on to the news?
Yes.
So the first news article is kind of news not for a lot of people, but for us it is. Alice, you've purchased a Series S.
Yes.
So,
last week
us about
we
it.
were discussing about like the deals for like Xbox consoles, games, and controllers, and I thought, wow, it's just so many cool savings. So I just like, honestly, like as I'm like trying to get some set up because I'm still waiting on faster internet to come. But when I get a new computer, which will be more efficient for video editing, I was thinking like, there's got to be some way in which I can like stream stuff from consoles over to Twitch, and that's what I'm going to do. And one of these things is that instead of like rely on the Xbox Series X,
Yeah.
I should get an Xbox Series S because Microsoft makes it easy for you to sign into any console. The only
Yeah.
limitation is that you need to designate one of the consoles as the main one so you can play games on it offline. So, with that in mind, I thought Xbox Series S with a 1080p resolution, I think it would be easy enough to do streaming from it.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, I think I'll stick with Xbox Series S. So then, when I found out on Amazon that they took a huge, hefty discount from like 250 down to like 190, I just jumped
Yeah.
for it because that is a killer saving, one of the best deals on Black Friday. So I just got that.
tempted.
Yeah, you obviously have to save money for the new laptop.
Yeah, I was so tempted by it. I was just looking at it like, that is a good deal. And as you said, it's like the perfect streaming console. Like to like
Yes.
not I suppose to stream games, but also to if you're going to be on Twitch and you want to stream games to Twitch, you can't really stream in 4K, so it's streaming in 10. You got perfect 1080p gameplay, and you don't have to like lower the resolution or anything for it to go through the streaming box, and you still get the full experience. I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
I think that's
Well,
a brilliant idea.
Yeah, that's right. So I just bought that and got it delivered to me because it was meant to be with I think it was a Elgato HD60 S Plus because this one is guaranteed to work with the Mac, which I'll discuss about soon. And this one has a little bit of a delay to its delivery, but I received the Xbox Series S first. And once I plugged in the power and the HDMI into a separate monitor from my PC because it's actually in my office, I just like being installing updates. Took a while, but while I was out shopping, I got the text message saying, "Oh, you signed in," and it turns out, yeah, they obviously like as long as you use the Xbox app to set it up, it automatically signs you in. So I just went in and like, oh, cool, I can like do stuff, but I had to install games because I got Game Pass. So I was like going to use Network Transfer to get the stuff over from my Xbox Series X, but it's much slower, and it even like couldn't even get the downloads done. And like, oh gosh, I gave up. Like I even hooked up between both the Series S and the X with the Ethernet cable. It's like it couldn't even get it working. It has to be through the router, which I couldn't be able to connect both to the router at the same time. So I had to download them from the internet, and that took about, close to about 2 or 3 days.
God, okay. You hopefully get better internet soon, yeah?
Sorry?
You hopefully get better internet soon, though, you said, right?
Yes, that's right.
That's good. That's cool. Yeah. That's annoying, though. I can understand that is frustrating. I hate it when you can't download something you want to download. Yeah.
But then when I actually get some games on it, I played Halo Infinite, and that was the other game I played this week. Just a few matches, and it's just to test out things. But I just got it working, and my initial thought is like it's like as if I'm playing on the Xbox One X, and one's just as well because Xbox One X, which I still have at my family home, runs at 30 frames per second and has slower loading times.
Yeah.
Xbox Series S runs as fine as you expect an Xbox Series X, down to the loading times and the 60 frames per second. Only it's at the reduced resolution, which I set to 1080p, which my current monitor accepts, but I'm totally fine with it.
That sounds good, though. I mean, if it runs the same kind of... as I said, I've been tempted to buy a Series S myself. I've used the Xbox so much. It would probably get used more than my PS5, to be honest. I would use it.
Yes.
Just put it in my office and use it. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool.
I would have to add that I got into Halo Infinite and I've been playing so much on it, and I also tried Time Splitters 2, which is backwards compatible with Xbox Series S. So so it does actually work pretty much out of the box almost. And yeah, I like the controller with it because it's like white with some like uh, black buttons, not except for the shoulder and
Okay.
trigger things. And it's like, yeah, it just really works. Then, however, when I just got the capture thing, it's just like, uh, I got when I got the capture thing, capture device like in the post and
Yeah.
got it hooked up because I have to get it USB powered.
Yeah.
So I just hooked the HDMI and then got the HDMI out. So when I just hooked it into like one monitor and used a USB to capture stuff,
Yeah.
the game capture HD is like, okay, but I tried OBS first and it just works out of the box, which means I was able to like do some test footage and recorded some gameplay of Halo Infinite. Got it just sorted out with Caden Live, and then I just uploaded to Google Drive, which you should be able to see like how well it went.
Yeah. Yeah, you showed me before. It looked quite decent. So hopefully we'll be able to do
Yes,
some
like for when it comes
let's
to
plays or
yeah,
some
wow,
video or
faceless
faceless
videos.
videos. Yeah.
Because I think there's a few like Halo YouTubers who uses like Halo Infinite gameplay to do
Yeah.
stuff with, and I think this is possible for the future. At the moment, my upload rates are like too bad to even like do loads of them every week, or let alone like do one each week.
Yeah, I would
But
like to do some more faceless videos. I just thought I got the energy to do it in the last few weeks. I mean, as I said, I've been feeling quite like drained energy wise, so I've not had the energy to do anything like like the podcast has been like the podcast and my reactions have been the only thing I've really had the effort to do. Anything more than that, and I feel like I would just pass out. It's like I don't know. I've been feeling really
yeah,
poor, not been feeling very well. I need to speak to my doctor, see what's going on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, for me, I'm looking forward to like getting the right kind of setup, and once I get faster internet, it's easier for me to do video editing.
for
But
sure.
I just have a few small projects for me to do and put on the channel soon. So our channel will Xbox box will get bigger, so that'll be great. But
I hope
as for
so.
the Series S itself, I'm really impressed. Like the console, it's just like if you stack like two music CD cases, you get almost a similar size, and it shows like how incredible that sized thing is. And yet it just offers like the Xbox Series S performance only in a lower resolution. And I think that's like one of the most impressive things I ever seen.
It sounds. I really want to cry one. I really want to get one. So,
Yeah,
all I was thinking as well is that white and black seems to make like the new like because you say about the controller colors and stuff. It's like if you had the Switch OLED and the PS5, put all three of them together, you just got white and black consoles. Like all the consoles are white and black for some reason.
yeah,
That's like the new trend.
yeah. The one
uh,
thing, well, that it just reminds me that it would be great to get a Switch OLED, but I
yeah,
only get upgrades to like using it as handheld, and I'm like, I just don't really want to spend money when I
no,
already spent the kind of money I would have used to get a new iPad.
yeah.
So I'm just going to deal with that and the rest of the setup. But as for the Switch S, it's just like, why do I mention Switch S? No, the Xbox Series
Series
S.
X, yeah,
Yeah, it just works.
yeah.
Got to work on the Mac, and it
It just
just gonna be.
works.
Yeah, it's just like
In the
really
words of
good for
Todd
video
Howard, it just
editing.
works.
Yeah, so I was gonna like say something like,
Oh, sorry, I interrupted you. I was just saying. That's
yeah, it's just I just don't think there's a lot much to add with it, and
fair.
but I do have like ambitions with it in the future. But in the meantime, I like got Switch games for me to catch up on, and I think it will be like throughout Christmas,
Yeah.
especially as reading books, which I'm gonna allow like a few weeks for me to relax. So hopefully we can like play games and read books while I just recover from like insane waiting sprints. But
Yes.
until this, just hoping that it just all works out fine.
That sounds good to me. Just trying to have a chill Christmas. I mean, that sounds good. I don't know what I'm gonna be. Finish Pokemon probably over Christmas, and then probably get God of War, and then I'll have to try and download Pentiment and Somerville at some point. They're supposed to both be very good games, and I've not played them yet. And I feel that as an Xbox podcast, I kind of feel like I've let the team down a little bit by not playing those games. I need to try them out. I need to pick them up and have a go. So yeah, interesting stuff with the Series S. I'm really curious. I'd love to try one out. I'll have to come over and try it at some point. Um, other things in the news, Sony claims that Xbox will not have PS Plus on Xbox systems. Um, that's a surprise to me. That seems weird. So obviously Xbox wants Game Pass on PlayStation, and PlayStation says that they won't allow PlayStation Plus on Xbox. What kind of what do you think about that? It's such a strange story. I feel like surely
Yeah,
I mean, I think
that really baffled
it,
me because it just really baffled me because, um, like I just really want to see like Xbox Game Pass to appear on like Steam Deck and
yeah,
Nintendo Switch because I think these platforms should be able to welcome that into the systems.
definitely.
I mean, once it comes on the Switch, yeah, Switch has decided that it will have all the Xbox games in it and it will make
Yeah,
it a perfect handheld. But it
yeah,
never occurred to me that Xbox Game Pass will arrive on the PlayStation, considering like there's a lot of restrictions on cross playing and
yeah.
cross progression on like PlayStation systems, whereas you can get this easily done with Xbox, Switch, and PC.
Yeah, and also it had never occurred to me there would be the other way around. The PlayStation would want to put their games on Xbox. That seems weird. Like, why would they
It
do
is
that?
weird
Well,
because
yeah,
to me, I think the reason is to do the third party support. But then,
yeah,
like, I think the only thing they're trying to achieve with this is that when you have an Xbox, you basically have to stream because you're dealing with the PlayStation games library
yeah.
only, unless they have to throw the PC games into the mix, which I don't know if they do that yet.
No,
But if they do, let us know. But Xbox Game Pass has like games for like PC and Xbox, and soon they're planning to put mobile games on it once the Activision deal's done.
yeah, exactly. It's interesting. Like, because obviously Game Pass is such a superior service, and I don't think that's hyperbole or fanboyism saying that. I think most people would agree. I mean, even PlayStation said it in their documents that Game Pass is superior to PlayStation Plus. So it's like I feel like PlayStation Plus is not quite there at the point yet where it should be on every system. But it'd be interesting if they brought PlayStation Plus. I'm surprised they're talking about bringing it to Xbox before they've brought it to PC. I feel like PlayStation Plus should be on PC first, surely, and then move on to Xbox, and then move on to try and get onto Switch. I do. Do you feel like we're going to end up in a future where, like, you get a TV and then instead of having a Netflix app, you have an Xbox and a PlayStation app, and that's it? Like, you don't like. Do you think we're gonna get to that point in like 20 years time or 10 years time, where there's just like they're
I
just apps and services instead of consoles and boxes? You know.
I could see that happening, but it depends on like how widespread the fast broadband is. Because
Yeah,
there's
it's
already
true.
like apps coming out where you can stream stuff on like TVs and other systems, but I think this is something we would expect to see in like the next 10 years.
Yeah,
Yet there are consoles on the market at the moment that hasn't perfected that raycasting thing. Like you did
yeah,
get 60 frames per second on 4K with the complete ray tracing. It's just still rudimentary, and it's just like
yeah,
they have much to catch up on. Plus, you have problems with like their storage, which now seems that 1 terabyte is too small for the biggest games.
yeah.
So I
It's
just
true.
think like I'm just hoping they would improve on how we get more storage and get more better technology for like ray tracing.
Yeah,
But I don't think it will be much of a surprise if we have to like stream games on the systems, and this could happen in the future.
oh,
But
for
it just
sure.
really depends on like how easy is it to access internet. For me, I'm what the faster internet I'm gonna get to my flat, because at the moment I'm getting on the base broadband, and I've been waiting for over a year for faster broadband, but they decided to offer fiber to the premises. That unlike the fiber broadband, it feeds the fiber into the premises, which means
Oh, right.
you get like ranging from 150 megabits per second to 900 megabits per second. Hence, you have like 10 megabits per second that goes all the way to about 75 megabits per second. So, therefore, you get like roughly 10 times the internet speed. Like, if it's taking long for you to download Halo Infinite, like about 20 hours,
Yeah.
then it will be like done in less than like 2 hours when you have
that's good.
900 megabits per second. But I haven't really checked it. But this is sort of the speeds I'm aiming to get for my setup, as well as like
Yeah.
downloading games on the go.
I mean, playing streaming games is I've never got quite into it yet. It's still in its infancy. I've played Persona 5 on stream on my iPad in the office, but it doesn't really. It freezes every now and again, and it's not perfect. It still needs some requirement. Obviously, we've got the Keystone coming out soon. Hopefully, I
I
don't
thought
think
they cancelled it.
well, they're still working on it. They're not releasing the current prototype because it's still too expensive. So they're working on it still, and they're trying to get it to a reasonable price. So we might not see it for another 2-3 years, but that's something they're still currently developing. Um, I'd be
Well, at
interested.
the moment, it just seems like the Xbox Series S is just perfect. Like,
Yeah, for
I don't know
180
how they
quid.
would. Yeah, they were probably thinking like, they could do 4K stream, but I haven't really checked it out myself.
Yeah,
But I just think it's just a decent system. But at that kind of price on Amazon, and like which is now reduced increased to now 250.
yeah,
It was like went down the same price when I bought a 3DS XL like about 10 years ago, because it
yeah.
just sells for almost like £200. But now for that kind of money, I got a Xbox Series S, but now it just goes back up with price, but it's now even cheaper than like the OLED Switch. Otherwise, you get like a Switch Lite, which is only the handheld, and you get it for like 200 quid.
But yeah, so the PS, so not getting PS Plus on Xbox is a bit strange. Still a bit of a strange argument. I mean, PlayStation and Xbox both put out 100-page documents this week, and like that was like the main story that came out of it, which is weird. But it's just like, so we could maybe skim over that for next week and have a look through there. There's more interesting stuff. But it's just like, I feel like if you had a console which had PlayStation Plus and Game Pass on it, you'd have a load of great games to play, but you still have the problem that PlayStation don't put their first party games on there day one. So it's like you still have to buy, if you wanted to play God of War, you'd still have to pay 70 quid for it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It seems weird that you would get everything day one on Xbox and then pay full price for the PlayStation version. I don't know. I don't think they're quite equivalent quite yet. I feel Game Pass is still superior because they have day one games.
So
it's
when it
still
comes
a
to God of
superior
War,
system.
you're probably going to end up like getting your mum to get it for you for Christmas, 70
Probably,
quid.
yeah. Probably, because that's the only thing I really want at the moment for Christmas. It's definitely like, I'm not really. I got Game Pass. I got all the games I wanted. I got Pokemon. So there's games I would want to buy. Maybe Bayonetta 3. I don't know. God of War probably, because everyone's saying how great it is. Even though I'm not really into I'm not really into those type of games. I mean, so that's another thing about PlayStation Plus. Is they're starting to build up. They want to have live service games now as more of a thing, whereas Xbox have been a live service. I feel like Xbox has more live service games, so they got like stuff like Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Halo, like Forza, like games that you come back to on like a weekly basis, so you can play for years and years and years. Whereas PlayStation, they're all their games are like God of War, Spider Man, Uncharted, Last of Us, and they're all like 20-hour games, and then once you've beaten them, you're kind of done. Like they don't really have anything that has a long tail to it. You know what I mean? They don't have anything that's gonna you go back to. and I think that's something they're working on. But if you go into purely services, I feel like Game Pass is a much better service because you have a lot of games that you can spend hundreds of hours in. Like, how much time have we spent in Grounded is ridiculous. And Halo, we
Yeah.
played so much time on Halo and Grounded, like more time than I've played on anything on PlayStation.
Yeah. Well,
They need to
to be
work on their
honest,
services, I think.
I'm just I'm just a bit curious about like the PlayStation Plus, and I
Yeah.
know I got it in the past and I got the instant collection, but I'm just curious like when it comes to streaming or stuff like that. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
would be really interesting to play some PlayStation classics, but then
Yeah.
I have to pay much higher for that every month in order to
The
play
price
those
is a bit
things.
weird. Yeah, I feel like the back because the top tier you basically pay extra to get PS5, PS3 games that you can only stream, and classic PS1 and PS2 games are like, okay, why would I pay over the odds for that? Like, it seems a bit strange to me. Like, I feel like the middle tier for PlayStation seems like the best one, which is that's the one that's closest to Game Pass, but every game on there is like a year or so old. There's nothing like brand new on there.
Well, I
So
think it's just a bit ironic because you get the PlayStation games that you had to pay extra for, but any level of Game Pass you get, whether it's Ultimate or not, you can
Yeah.
still like download the original Xbox and Xbox 360 games, which you don't have the full library of, but
Yeah.
you can still like find and download them to your Xbox, and I think that is just like really good.
I mean, it's not far off the full library. It's a lot of games on there. I mean,
Still,
it's just the super obscure stuff that you won't be able to get, but the majority of stuff you can play. So yeah, that's the Sony versus Xbox news for the week. Every week there's always something. Jim Ryan's always crying, or Phil Spencer's always on a podcast or something. So those are that's like that news. Todd Howard's just had an interview on the Lex Friedman podcast. No offense, Lex, I've not heard of your podcast, but I have listened to it. It was an interesting interview. It was like a 3 hour interview, and they had like a interesting discussions, a lot of philosophical stuff, like if the if the world we live in now is a video game, how would you be able to escape and stuff like that? It's like, okay, that's a bit of a weird interview topic, but yeah, Todd God Howard, the head of Bethesda, he answered a couple of things, talked about Elder Scrolls, Starfield, bit about Xbox and Fallout. So just a couple of bullet points I got written down here. So just gonna go through it real quick. Some of the
did
interesting stuff that he
Did
came
you
up.
just mention Garfield?
No, Garfield. No, I said God Howard.
No, you
God
just mentioned
Howard.
like Starfield, Garfield.
Starfield, Garfield. Yeah, I guess so. Andrew Garfield. He likes lasagnas on Mondays. It doesn't like Mondays.
Too bad it's Wednesday.
So I got loads of notes to go through. So this is a big. I got like 20
do
notes
it.
to go through. So let's just go through quickly.
Do
So
it, do it.
Elder Scrolls. So Todd Howard regrets the fact that there's such a big gap between Elder Scrolls games, and he hopes the next Elder Scrolls game will be a 20-year game like Skyrim, so that you can play so you can play for 2 decades and still keep coming back to. Which, I mean, they managed to do it with Skyrim, I suppose. Like,
Well, Skyrim is like definitive, and you only have DLCs like keeping it going. But the only
No
thing
way.
that would keep it going is like you have mods with it. That there's a lot of really good mods, and honestly, the people are like doing some incredible work with it. But there's also
Yeah,
ones where
sure.
they added some extra content like crests and everything, and yet people are still boosting Elder Scrolls Online, and you have more content there. But I just feel like, if anything, Skyrim is what it just keeps on growing as long as
Keeps
you
on
have
going.
the modern community with it. And I think this is the same reason that Halo Infinite, it's a bit flimsy in the moment, especially the live service side of the games. But when there's a Forge mode came out, loads of people came in, bought more maps, and now it's going to have scripting. So we will have Trials Evolution levels of like level editing, and you're going to have like more levels for that. So
Sure.
hopefully it just like gets going to get bigger and better.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that this is in the notes later on in the interview. He does mention the fact that modding is now important, is very important to Bethesda. So he was saying that
Excellent.
modding is when they're designing Starfield and the next Elder Scrolls games, they have modding in mind from the very beginning of the games. So that is something worth looking into. So that's cool. He was saying Elder
Yes.
Scrolls 7, they know the plot already and it's already been set in stone. And the rumors are it's probably going to be Hammerfell. So that's interesting. So they've known the plot for the Elder Scrolls 7 for like 10 years already, and it's still not going to be out for another 10 years. So
So
interesting.
we just have to wait like 20 years for that to come, right?
Yeah, well, they said it's 20 year. Elder Scrolls Skyrim was a 20-year game, so what? That they've just had their 15th anniversary, right? So I think, or like I don't know, how long is it until it'll be? Or 10, they've had a 10-year anniversary. I don't know where I got 15 from.
I
So
could be
another
placed in
10
a
years.
residential home when it comes out, the Elder
Yeah,
Scrolls
exactly.
7.
Especially at Fallout 5, I'll be an old photo for sure. So yeah, so then that's all the Elder Scrolls stuff we had. He also mentioned Starfield. Excuse me, got a bit of a tickling throat.
Hmm.
So it's interesting that he was saying that some systems in Starfield, so like galaxies, I guess, so like the Milky Way or whatever. Some of the systems are like level gated and like level 40. So you know in like Fallout, if you walk go in the wrong direction, you'll come up against a Deathclaw that's level 40 and he'll kill you instantly. It's like
Hmm.
that. If you go to some planets that you're not meant to go to, they will be over leveled and you'll die. I'm just gonna have a drink a sec.
Well, it just reminds me of like Pokemon, like Scarlet and Violet does need to have scaling in because it doesn't improve the levels whenever you get gym badges. It just remains at the same levels in different places. So it's like you go to different places, and if you do manage to export the game to like climb up the cliffs early, then your encounter Pokemon are like in the 30s or 40s. Same way that if you get someone to do the raids for you, you
Yeah.
get like level 30 or 40 Pokemon that you cannot use yet.
Exactly. Like some areas you're not meant to go to at certain levels, so it's like that. So yeah, so there's some planets and some galaxies that they basically they'll give you a warning saying you shouldn't be in this area, and you can so you can still explore it if you want, but you're gonna get your ass kicked. So that's
Mm.
interesting. Um, they were saying when it comes to the 1,000 maps, a lot of it's going to be procedurally generated, so like Minecraft or whatever. Or the example they used was Daggerfall. Um, so they have a specialist system of special like tiles that makes it new and simple for them to make procedurally generated maps. Essentially, it's just changing one or two codes on the map on the procedural generation. So like changing the number from a 2 to a 3, and then you make a whole new planet with wholly different stuff. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
wicked.
and
I
they're
just
saying
love to
that
see this technology developing. Like, if they were to get this done straight away, then
yeah.
yeah, they can make lots more content for the game. But I think
So,
this is likely that Starfield would rival with No Man's Sky in terms of like procedural
oh, for
planets.
sure.
Yet you have a retro game called Elite, I think, where you just travel
Elite, yeah,
to randomly generated planets.
yeah. So I mean, they've got 1,000 planets. They said that like obviously, so the cities and stuff are going to be more handcrafted like Skyrim, but then when you leave the cities and you go to like the more open areas, they're going to be more like Daggerfall, which is all procedurally generated. So that's going to be interesting. It is obviously they're going to try and make as much handcrafted stuff as they can, but when there's 1,000 planets, that's going to be tricky for them to do.
Mm.
So yeah, we'll get through that. He also said each planet has its own level, has its own buffs and debuffs. So it has obviously different levels of gravity, different levels of O2. Certain spacesuits work better on different planets, which is interesting. They're hoping to add a hardcore mode to Starfield after the game is released. So if you like if you run out of fuel, you're just stranded in space like Iron Man at the beginning of Endgame. You just be so you can starve to
Mm.
death in space. That'd be interesting. Uh, and then obviously, as I said earlier, they're planning to put mods in it as well. So that's all the Starfield stuff. Um, Todd Howard also mentioned the fact that The Xbox takeover was really good for them, really good for Bethesda. They have a positive culture where they they get as much time as they need to make the games, and they get support and the dev support. So he's just basically gushing about how great Xbox is. He's being paid by
Wicked.
Xbox, so maybe you could see maybe he might be a bit biased on that. But he said he would just be. I think he's quite an honest guy. I could see he was quite honest with that. He also mentioned the fact that the Fallout TV show is coming out soon, and it will not be based on any stories from the games. Whereas the Last of Us TV show is literally looks like it's going to be a shot-for-shot remake of the games into a TV show. Halo, they kind of went off on their own path. Fallout, they kind of gone on their own path as well. So I'm interested to see where it goes. Hopefully, it'll be decent. And then the last thing that he really talked about was Indiana Jones. He was saying that Machine Games, the people who make Wolfenstein, are the perfect team for this game. So does that mean that this is going to be a first-person shooter Indiana Jones game? Question mark. I don't know. He said it's going to be some kind of mashup of sorts.
It could be similar to like Uncharted, with its third-person platforming type of thing.
Yeah,
But
I think that's probably
it's
what
interesting
it will be.
that when you have someone who worked on Wolfenstein, I think it would be easy for them to like transfer the assets that are built around the World War II era and put it into the
They
Indiana
hate
Jones
Nazis.
because because the film is like
destroy the
based around
Nazis.
those kind of environments.
Yeah, it's all about killing Nazis. Like they did it they do it in Wolfenstein, and now they're doing it in Indiana Jones. So that's the news for the week. We're going to move on to our topic of the show. So we've mentioned a couple of times already on the show this week that Black Friday's happened, and this year's Black Friday was a big one because Xbox Series the Series X won Black Friday. Shocking.
Very good.
The highest selling product in Black Friday this year was the Xbox Series X. I mean, the PS5 is still sold out everywhere, so that kind of makes sense, and everyone already owns a Switch. So yeah, Xbox Series X won Black Friday. The Switch won Thanksgiving in general. But the top games were Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and God of War Ragnarok. But what do you think about...
You mentioned about the Xbox Series S winning Black Friday, and yet you mentioned that Nintendo Switch wins Thanksgiving. So what's the difference between those two? Is it to do with like the periods?
I think it's the period of time, yeah. So, I mean, the day of Black Friday, I think Series X won on sales. So, I mean, that's super interesting. Like, Xbox is always seen as traditionally the third place in the console market, but it's the highest selling console on Black Friday this year. People are interested in it. Even when hasn't been a AAA game this year, people are still interested in the Series X, which is really intriguing. Like, can you imagine what next year's going to be like when we got Starfield and Redfall and Forza and hopefully some other big games, and hopefully got a big Christmas game as well?
I really hope.
Interested.
I don't know, because I think it's just anything's possible. But I would like to say that the Xbox deals are like well known. Like, they already discounted controllers, games, and more importantly, that they discounted the Xbox Series S, which briefly sold out on Amazon before they got more stock in. And I think this is a wise decision from Microsoft, because people are more after the Series X than the Series S. Yet, the only time I saw the production with it is, I think it's on Amazon, where they reduced it by only like £20 on it. So yeah.
And that's the thing as well, though. It's the Series X that sold out the most over Black Friday. The Series S was like fifth place, I think. I think it was like the Series X, then it was the Switch, then it was like iPad and stuff, and then it was like the Series S was like fifth place, and the PS5 wasn't even in the top 5, which is interesting. That's what I've heard anyway. So if I've got that wrong, let me know in the comments below. But that's what I remember when I read this article. That's what I remember picking up for it, which is strange. It might be because the PlayStation they're still struggling to make consoles. It's supply and demand at the end of the day, and I feel like Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch have all got demand, but who's hitting the supply? You know, Like I feel like Xbox are managing to supply consoles to the market, so people who want Xboxes can get Xboxes, whereas people who want PlayStations are still struggling to get PlayStations, and people who want Switches are still it's still a hot item, even though it's like been out for like 5 years. It's
I've
interesting
been
though.
watching I've been looking at Amazon bestsellers in the PC video games category,
Yeah,
and Pokemon Violet is currently the highest selling, and Pokemon Scarlet lags in behind the PlayStation and Xbox gift cards and the Nintendo Switch Sports. So
interesting.
I'm just like,
What's
gosh, I
wrong with
just kind of,
Scarlet? Poor Scarlet. It's not that bad. I think we're both Team
I just
Violet,
couldn't.
but
I just wish that I could have like got Scarlet in the end because I was so
yeah.
split between both of these versions, and I was asked people around, they're like, "Oh, go get Violet," and okay, I just buy Violet, but then I realised I should have went for Scarlet. In fact,
Some of the
it's
exclusive
really
Pokemon on
because if you
Scarlet
check
look really
the
cool.
communities there, it's just like, wow, they're like, there's loads of people on Violet, and now they're looking for someone who plays Scarlet, so it's a bit of a difficulty there. So I would
Yeah.
say to anyone, I know you're on Xbox, but if there's anyone who's looking to get a Switch, recommend them to get Scarlet, if unless you don't mind about the version exclusives.
Yeah, I've seen some really good exclusive Pokemon on Scarlet. To be fair, yeah, if you want to help us out, getting 100% on the Pokedex, get Scarlet, and then play Pokemon with us.
Yeah, but
But yeah,
anyway,
but yeah,
I
Xbox
just
winning
looked
Black Friday
through.
is a baffling one to me. I love it. It's great news. It means that we're more competitive, but it's weird. It's strange. I love it though. What
I've
do you
been
think?
looking through the charts there, and I don't think I've seen. I've been looking through it a bit carefully, and it doesn't look. I think the only Xbox games that are at top in this PC and video games chart is just like Call of Duty and FIFA, whereas
Yeah,
God of War Ragnarok comes in at sixth with the Mario Kart 8 following it.
yeah,
So Switch games and PlayStation 4 and 5 games are doing okay in the moment, but the Xbox
yeah.
is only for like Call of Duty and FIFA.
Yeah. I mean, most people. I don't know. Do you think Game Pass has hit the mainstream yet? That's the main question, isn't it? It's like when people realise that you can get all these games for cheap on Game Pass, they probably would buy less stuff on Xbox, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Very
It's
true.
weird. I mean, I love my Xbox to bits, and I think it's a fantastic console. I'm really glad that we're going to have hopefully a bigger, more people listening to our podcast, hopefully, because there's more Xbox owners. Hopefully,
Yeah, true.
I don't know. It's a weird one though. I still think it's strange, because obviously the PlayStation has the market share, has the people seem to like the PlayStation more for some reason. Even though personally I prefer the Xbox, but we're an Xbox podcast, of course I'm going to say that. I don't know. If it seems strange to me that it was the highest seller, but good. It's good news. I think Xbox keeping pace with PlayStation is good for the entire the entire industry. I feel like Sony can't get away with being so anti-consumer when Xbox are like on their tail. I think that's a good thing for everyone, for all the customers when they're both competitive and they're head to head. You want it to be competitive. As a wrestling fan, a wrestling channel, when WWF was the only wrestling federation like the only wrestling company left. They got very lazy and just basically did whatever they wanted. And now there's competition. They actually have to try and actually keep people interested. So I feel like competition is always a good thing, and I think that's a good example I was going to use there. You don't want to be the only. You don't want it to be a like even if you're a PlayStation fan, surely you don't want PlayStation to be the only console in town because they can get away. They can get away with murder. I feel like this is good. This is good news. I think this is fantastic news for the industry in general. I wonder if they can keep it up for Christmas. That's the question. Will it be the highest selling product this Christmas? Do you think, or do you think Switch is going to outsell it or the PlayStation?
I would
Like,
say the Switch would probably like get on well because if you think about
yeah,
it, there is a lack of like exclusive Xbox games this year,
It's true.
but yet there's already getting some like really good Switch games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3. There's Splatoon 3. As
Pokemon.
well as like Bayonetta 3 and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and there's like
Yeah.
other titles to catch up on like Arceus. But
I also
I
feel
think
with the Switch as well is that you can have multiple. I suppose you can have multiple Xboxes in the household, but I feel like having multiple Switches makes more sense. Like you'd obviously have, like if you have a load of kids, they have a Switch each and stuff like that. You know, they all have their own consoles to play on. Whereas
well,
you
that's
would,
the thing because you only like have one system at the time with the Switch. So yeah,
Yeah.
so if you're gonna like give people like Switches, for instance, you can either like get them to share a single Switch system, or you can give them their own handhelds. But you don't play games on multiple Switches at the time, as far as I know, because
mean,
the only thing that represents a Nintendo account is to do with like getting a Nintendo account with the Switch Online membership. So that's what
Yeah.
you get.
I mean, they do have a family pass on the Nintendo Switch as well, so you could get a family pass for that. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's like I love my Switch. I think it's great, but it is 5 years old now, and there is plenty of. I feel like if you have if you wanted a Switch, you probably got a Switch by now. So I feel like Xbox might be the highest. I don't know. PlayStation is the one the most is like the thing that people want the most at the moment. But I feel like the Xbox is more widely available, so it probably sell more. As I said, supply demand. I feel like everything's got demand, whereas Xbox can hit the supply, whereas PlayStation.
Well, that's
doesn't
the
seem to be able to
thing
do that.
because the PlayStation 5, the stock is like out of stock everywhere, and
Yeah.
if you want it, you end up paying more for it, even with the price increase for the European markets. It's
Yeah.
just like it's just like they're trying to take advantage of people's needs to like get a PlayStation
Yeah.
5, and that is despite it's like a huge console. But it just appears as if it's the only thing that comes out, unless you would settle for the PlayStation 4, which is actually discontinued as far as I know. So it just seems as
Yeah.
if you want a PlayStation, you get a PlayStation 5, but you have to go through all the hurdles in order to get one, or even
That's a
get
lot of
signed up to the
obstacles.
list. So it's just like this one it's for the players.
The payers.
No, players.
People
You remember the
pay.
catchphrase, the
Yeah.
for the players?
Well,
Yeah.
the payers, people who pay. Yeah, I mean, like, I know I'm biased, but I have an Xbox, I have a PS5. My PS5 just collects dust. I feel like the Xbox, I use it every day, multiple times a day. It is a fantastic system. I couldn't highly recommend it enough. I know we're an Xbox podcast, so of course I would say that. But I would say if you want to get a PS5, I mean, good for you, I suppose. But if you can't get one, I feel if you get a Series S or a Series X, you won't be disappointed. They are
No.
fantastic systems. I feel like and if you get Game Pass, you definitely get your money's worth. Definitely got more than your money's worth. I think you just, I don't know. I love my Xbox, and I'm glad I got one. I'm really intrigued
And
to see what sells best at Christmas this year. I'm really intrigued. We'll hopefully
I
find out.
I think I would wrap this up saying like I think that there's not a lot wrong with the Xbox Series S because if
No.
you think about it, it's a bit of a premium to get a 4K TV, which now seems to be
yeah.
in the 500s, but chances are you could only afford to have something like a 1080p TV and put it in your room, and yet you need something to play it on. So for what it's worth, you would get an Xbox Series S, which only does 1080p, which at the same time you have a much smaller console. Like, I tried it a few times, and I find it's actually a very much a viable console, and I'm just so
sure.
impressed with how much power it just oozes from it. Whereas Series X is just like, if you have to like double the space and you want 4K resolution from there, then it's there. I like to
Yeah.
think as if it's like comparing between PlayStation 4 Slim and the PlayStation 4 Pro, because both of these systems offer different resolutions, and I feel that this argument should apply to Series S and Series X. I know there's a couple of friends in my circles that own the Xbox Series S and they were impressed
Yeah,
with it. So it just shows like if you can like assist to like the Series X, like if you don't mind getting it for like a lower resolution, then you
yeah,
can do a lot well with the Series S. But then again, it's just like whether you're thinking like, whether you get a small 3DS or you go
yeah.
for the 3DS XL that gives you bigger screens. If you ever need it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
No, I know what you're saying. Also, I feel like because I got like a big family, like so my nephew, I got my multiple nephews and stuff. I feel like a Series S is much more suitable. They'll have the hand me down TV from the living room or whatever, and then they'll have the hand me down consoles and stuff. So why would you get them a PS5 when they can't get the full experience? When they got like a small, if they got the older TV that like that's been collecting dust, the 720p the TV that you used to have, it's just like, oh, get them a console. I feel like the Xbox is half the price, and you can still play Fortnite, you can still play FIFA, you can still play Call of Duty on it, you can still play those like more casual games. So if you got like young kids in the house, I feel like an Xbox Series X or a Series S or a Switch is a much better product for you than a PS5.
I
Personally,
agree.
I mean, like you're paying over the odds for a PS5, and it does the same thing as the Xbox Series S and the Switch. For majority, I mean, yeah, okay, you're not gonna get God of War, but I don't know how many people care about God. I know it's the highest grossing thing on PlayStation, but how many people really care about God of War when, like you were saying, Call of Duty is the highest selling game on both systems.
Well, it
Yeah,
depends really because I think it's just like football and Call of Duty are like top games, and I know my nephew
always
like
are.
loves it,
Yeah,
and
same.
my half nephew likes it too. But he does own a Switch and he plays Zelda and Pokemon games on it.
Ah,
So
good
I think
taste.
really that if you raise your kids well, then Switch is perfect enough because it's now getting much better titles than like 20 years ago, where there's like Nintendo GameCube that you play it
Yeah,
for the Nintendo games, but you feel like PlayStation 2 is still great because you can get everything on it
GTA
except the
5.
Nintendo
Yeah,
games. But now
I bet.
these days, it's just like as if it's more of a class thing than just like getting it for the performance. Like PlayStation 5 is what you want to get the best premium experience on, and that's what Sony tries to treat it.
Yeah,
Xbox is like you want a multimedia experience, which
yeah,
is one of the reasons why I switched over from PlayStation 4 to Xbox because it has all the multimedia apps and the Game Pass. It's just like lets you try all those different games. Whereas Switch
sure.
is pretty much a simplified, minimalist experience that's good for families.
I mean, I feel like if you're a gamer, you can't really lose by getting any of the consoles. To be honest, it's such a great time to be a gamer. To be honest, I was gonna say it's like PlayStation is more like if they're like Apple or Nike or whatever. It's just like it's more of a brand thing than anything else. People just buy it because they know the name PlayStation. It's not necessarily about what you can play on it. It's more of a ooh, I have a PlayStation. Are I cool kind of thing. It's just a brand thing a lot of the time.
I
Whereas
think it's
Xbox
just
doesn't
more
have
of
the
the
brand recognition, or even though it's been around for 20 years, doesn't have the same kind of level of brand prestige, or
well,
like you know,
I would get excuse me. I think to me that PlayStation when it first came out is like a really seriously good system, and
yeah,
it just works with the right kind of resources.
just
And
works.
same with like the PlayStation 2, where it's just like it is the last simple console to use. Whereas
Yeah,
PlayStation 3 used to have a bit of a slow start because of
yeah,
how it didn't do well with the Blu-ray drive, but still like a very like possibly the best Blu-ray player of the time, and it still
yeah,
works. Very
still
functional.
works.
It just beats with any other Blu-ray players I have in this whole thing.
Yeah,
But when it comes to like PlayStation 4 and then PlayStation 5, it's just now like it's not regardless to be the system you buy if you want to feel so smug with it. And I just feel
yeah,
like it just still lags behind Xbox because now as uh, the gaming environments are more online focused,
yeah,
it's just makes you feel like you want systems that can do the of the best when it comes to delivering things like, how do I put it? Like offering online functions and delivering games too. So it's just like, yeah, you can go for those things.
Value for money. Yeah, I feel like, obviously, as we said before, I feel like Xbox is better value for money. If you just go off Game Pass, that's like, simple as that. Yeah, I feel like if a lot of people buy PlayStations just to brag, and it's like, okay. I mean, I have a PlayStation, so I'm awesome. So I have.
Well,
so I'm great.
I think on that bombshell, we can wrap this up now because
yeah.
So I think it's positive news for Xbox,
Good news
and
for Xbox.
it looks as if Xbox remains to be a good value for money, although Switch is still pretty much a better family console. But then I think there's plenty more said as we get through this podcast in the next few weeks, and just hope that the Activision Blizzard deal is still going through, even though there's more shenanigans to be had with it.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about next week. There seems to, every week there seems to be something between Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer. Someone's moaning about something. So I'm sure we'll have something to talk about next week when it comes to that. It seems to always be something. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Have you bought anything on Black Friday? Did you get anything decent this year? Let us know in the comments below. Are you considering buying an Xbox? Are you a lapsed PlayStation fan, or are you still trying to get a PS5 and still struggling to get one? Let us know in the comments below. Any of that stuff. We're all gamers at the end of the day. We're all just trying, enjoy ourselves. But thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. If this episode's been a bit lethargic and a bit like, it looks like I've been struggling, I do apologise. I've just been a bit ill the last few days, so I do apologise. So thank you for putting up for that.
I just look forward to enjoying the rest of the night and relaxing with Pokemon.
Too.
And recently, I was doing the podcast, and at the same time, I'm transferring files to the bigger SD card, which is now done. So I'm gonna stick that in the Switch and hope for the best.
Fingers crossed. So I'll thank you guys for watching, and until next time, too sweet. Laters, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the X Marks the Box podcast. Follow us at X Marks Box on Twitter or X Marks the Box on YouTube. And follow us on all audio podcast services. Thanks for listening.